What's up, y'all? But look, I know nobody be really watching my lives, but I already gave it a prediction that'll what happen real soon, dealing with a timeline thing, because the shit I be talking about is like years past now. But the thing is, people are aligning it with everything right now, just tying down to what I'm saying. So I'm breaking down the science dealing with uh, the output to your body, because really, um, I'm all about knowing thyself and how every day is shadow work and how every day is a fast. Really, when you when you're fasting, you're breaking away from something that doesn't serve you. So that ties into all forms from how they come at you and the things you have to deal with. Like a fast with the body is you eating healthy and you cutting off shit that you don't need and doesn't serve your body any justice really, but um, a thought or feeling. So like when you're fasting, you're just doing what you're supposed to do. You're breaking away from the old shit. It's just if you actually stay 10 toes as you go through the cycles of the year, because you're dealing with four gates, dealing with high energies, dealing with these portals. Everything to be explained is just like the 8-8 portal, how it lines up with Sirius and intensify. You start feeling things from Sirius A and B, left and right of that binary system, and you start to feel C, the gamma. It starts to intensify your gamma, right? And then you start to also feel the magnetism, and it starts to activate more with your X during these times. So during these times, you should be focusing on yourself and low key fasting, because subconsciously knows that's what you're supposed to do. But at the same time, if you have things attached to your subconscious, that's being attached to your soul. So when you need to clean up your chakras, you're doing it physically, but you have to do it mentally. And the only thing that deals with that mentally is your imagination, because your imagination is tied to your creativity. Your creativity is tied to your feminine energy. Your feminine energy is tied to your X gene. Your X gene is tied to your solar power. But all of that matches truth. Just like how all of your chakras are separate and are demonstrated separately with different colors and shit. And they emit those colors, but at the same time, they work in unison, unity. Like when you're in a lie, living a lie, your perspective isn't matching truth or reality, that starts to interfere with your frequency, dealing with your chakras. Like this shit is dead ass real. That's why like mentally and physically it's really like some whole sensei shit. It's the whole thing is if you actually do it, now you know the difference. You become a believer, but you still breaking doubt through your fast and through your shadow work, because it's still training your mind. It's just when you actually clear your mind, you're removing those blockages that's blocking you from ascending consciously. Mentally it needs to be blocked, and then your physical body needs to match it to take on that frequency, so you can open up these stargates within you. Because just like how the light hits different parts of the planet and people open up portals and shit, the shit works the same way within you. So that deals with a frequency in the cells. Like your cells not supposed to die, they're supposed to keep reproducing. But how are they going to reproduce when they're not able to bond properly with a reflection of itself? Most of the time it's clogged up by mucus or bonding with cDNA, which is a modified DNA to interrupt your DNA. So then when it interrupts your DNA, it pretty much clones itself off of you. It uses your energy. And that's the same way clones work anyways. When you're coming cloning food or cloning people, like all that shit's real. It's all coming from a cycle of you. Everything dealing with technology is replicas of you. You have to get that because it's all going off a cycle, which is a 369, so to say, method. It talks about trinities, right? So I don't care what anyone says. They say we in the seventh. Yes, we're going into the seventh, but the new year represents the new dimension on the physical state. When we're talking about these times that we're in, it's always been going on like this. Reason why different styles come through every 10 years, different shit, cause they be playing that game, cause it's conscious thing. It was more of Mu and Nu manipulating the ground and the waters like the moon does. It manipulates the ground and the waters. But if you remember what I tell you, the ground and the waters is part of your output. That's the body of you. So it manipulates the body of you when you're getting fed a different perspective that's not the truth. So when you start hearing truth, it start clicking. Neurons starts to come together, start clicking light like a light bulb. That's your aura, your crown, and operating. Now, because that's dealing with for your crown to even be operating, it has to be in truth, so it can start aligning truth. It can't be caught up tied to aware anxiety and all this extra shit and lies because it's going to go against its energy. That's not how the energy operates. You have to operate in truth and love. You feel me? Like, because none of that becomes becomes part of that shit for real, for real. Like, it's just like you're not gonna say certain type of things when you're not doing certain type of things. Not even if you're playing, you're just not. Like, it's just certain things you're gonna say, certain things you're gonna do. It's just like a nigga with superpowers. What are you gonna do with your superpowers? Are you gonna be left, right, or are you gonna be the Trinity, like the balance point, which is part of left and right, just brought together in one, not it being a split, because one and two creates the three. You feel me? But that's only when it's working together. When it's not working together, it's a 12, right? And then that 12 is separated, so now it's telling you about the 12, 1 through 12. But whole time, 1 through 12 is supposed to be one energy. But the energy is corrupted by a lie. So when it's not matching the truth, the people is not, you feel me, really operating the way they're supposed to. They're operating in their own dream, which is dealing, operating off your own DNA. So when it's operating off your own DNA, like a Matrix or a game or a movie or anything, like this phone I'm using is operating off my air. But when you realize nature is the output to your input, nature is the output to your input, literally. So when you're dealing with air, it's just like the blood in your body. You have these atoms floating around, cells floating around, million trillions, and they all connect and receive signals and frequency from your thought. I repeat, the air is the blood being the output to your body because you need an input and an output to your body to even work. Even a robot needs an input and an output to it. A battery needs an input and an output to it. The poles need an input and an output to it. The cycle needs an input and an output to it. Just like how the ground rises and the sun brings down energy, and the sun and the ground rises back up. Inputs and outputs. So when it comes to your body, nature is an output to your body. Period. So look, that being said, nature is an output to your body, meaning the blood of the air or the air of the blood is tying to literally the air. So when it comes to an affidavit or something or a public notice saying you guys can't be in my air anymore, this is a public notice. You're literally in my blood while you're in my body. It's just like you telling cleaning up your body is literally cleaning up the body outside of you too. Okay? Because that's what's literally going to happen. As you start to clean up your body, you're going to start to clean up your home, your body, the other part of your body dealing with your soul, which is the solar system. You're the guardian of the galaxy. Clean your ass up. I know I gotta clean my ass. I gotta get myself together before I find myself with you. Type shit. Mm. Gotta clean up what I messed up. Starting my life over again. Head ass. Like, that ass. We got to clean up what we messed up. Period. Accept it, move forward. Like, this needs to be like a goal. Like, just to be doing. Because once you realize we got fucking invaders on this fucking planet that ain't us, they look like us and not us. And they're literally terrorizing us. And the conscience is really ma. Like, when it comes down to it, it seems like we that ass in a body, and we like little cells, trillions of cells. That's what I'm saying. It's a cycle within a cycle within the cycle, but all this cycle shit is literally your DNA, meaning your you control this bitch like a controller. Once you tap into reality and truth, the intuition leads you the rest of the way. The intuition is not going to lead you the right way when you're dealing with anxiety and fear. Most of the time it can, but if you go against it, you have to know your voice against the anxiety voice or the food voice, because it be shit in the food. Like, that deals with a lot of your anxiety. The food, I promise you. The food will have you back attached to certain shit that you wasn't attached to. The food can also, you start drinking something from a time where you remember when you first had it or some shit. Certain stuff can bring up those times. And you start seeing people pull up on it because it's a subconscious thing. And they can get reattached to it, dealing with, because it's a drug. Like, the food is more of a drug than marijuana is. Marijuana is not even a drug. And yeah, they got stronger weed, or not really stronger weed. It's just taking more of the sun. So the tetra in it is reproducing faster and creating more on a triple effect, just like your body is. So, but the only thing is, the thing about weed is a heart chakra herb. So you really only supposed to be smoking it if you eat healthy. Other than that, it takes a longer time to get through your anxiety with the weed. I mean, it might help, period. Cause I mean, weed helped me get over my fears. Shit, I used to just be tripping and hearing about sober or on the weed. It just seemed like I was tripping even more on the weed. But I was young as hell, and trying to hide that shit brought out lies. So when you're dealing with a chakra herb, you can't really be doing too much of that shit, because then you'll forget about it. And when you're in those type of energies, you start to forget about it. And when you're eating that type of food, you getting sleepy from it, all types of shit. You're supposed to smoke it with the DNA is supposed to match because it's a star. It's for your chakras. It's a heart chakra herb to get you back to balance. Like weed, at the end of the day, brings you up. Why does it bring you up? Because of a frequency. It duplicates your cells, and then things become more vivid. Just like when the sun shoots off these high frequencies, and you actually tuning in because you start doing the works with your body, your your vision actually changes and becomes like more HD, like you smoke some good ass weed. It becomes more vivid if you peep it or not. Like once you peep it, breathe in, take it in, clear your mind if it's not. Make sure, because the thing is, the intuition is going to work through you in a clear mind. So if you could peep the first Matrix, of how Neo was going through it, just imagine him by himself, and everyone around him was like angels. You feel me? All of them was angels. Morpheus, Trinity, all of them. You could say Trinity was like his queen, and Morpheus was like a new or some shit. So got thing is, he started going with his intuition and started to believe while he was in a clear mind, because the thing was, he was dealing with, it would seem like the unknowing, but when you believe and you tap into that energy, it becomes a knowing type thing to do. That's why when you're the chosen one, you know what to do. You feel me? It's that intuition. But the thing is, the intuition is not really so much of a thought. It's not so much of a, it's a feeling. It's like a feeling and a thought, but it's at the same time, it's just it's an understanding. And then you be like, you get to thinking about some shit. Then you be like, you feel me? It's telepathy. It's really how, like, MK Ultra is a replica of how that shit works. Telepathy and all that shit works. It's a replica. You feel me? That's why you have to know thyself, because there's other beings doing the same shit, trying to communicate to you outside the firmament from what the FBI and them said. But you just gotta know thyself. Like your star family operate out of heart. They try to replicate some heart shit, and that's something you already seen on this realm from the things we accidentally do thinking it's right just because we've been fed a perspective off TV. It's not the same. So when it's talking about cycles, it's talking about us. Like now, I say we're in a sixth cycle. Just like Alexa said, it's still 2023. Like I've been saying, the new year doesn't start until April, going into that next gate, April 27th. But April 1st is supposed to be the new year for January. It's just, it's some whole Mandela effect, butterfly effect shit going on. Because since the light's been exposed to us, is dealing with our DNA, and it's going along a timeline dealing with the dimensions that happen along these timelines, because it was dealing with a loop. So these past lives is still in the energy, still in the DNA memory that's tied to you, because it's tied to the beginning. And when it comes to your genetics, it's tied from the beginning to the end. You are the beginning and the end, God. You are the A through Z. The A through Z is your genetics. It's how it works. That's why they naming shit A through Z. It's tied to the grand finales and everything like that with the Hebrew and Greek chart or the alpha beta system. The alpha beta system also talking about the moon shit too. But it's talking about your left and your right, right? So left and the right, if it's they're talking about this shit in the air, right? It's a split look like it's coming. It is, because we're about to start the third Trinity, which is a big trinity. Like nine is pretty much the divine trinity, but it's separated in threes. You feel me? But that's when it actually comes down to 12. But the 12 is a three, the rebirth of the nine. Okay? So the nine can just be settled and is dealing with higher energy, but then that goes on to another timeline. Their ass is trying to finesse their ass through this timeline. Reason why they're giving away subsidies and all this extra shit to continue the contract through the banks and the hospitals, but all them bitches about to close down. Mostly the hospitals and the transportation, just because of the heart chakra of certain people, that shit's still gonna be running. But then people are gonna start to realize your ass need to start dealing with natural things, because you're dealing with the trap when you're dealing with the hospital. You're dealing with the biggest narcos on this fucking land when you're dealing with the hospital. And they prescribe you everything they think you need. And then they say eat healthy on it, knowing that you're not. Or, because the thing is, when you've been taught what healthy is with a triangle with meat, dairy, then you have your orange, your fruit juice, not your fruits, but your fruit juice. Then you have a piece of fruit. You feel me? That shit backwards. When you're on this planet, that's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to eat natural shit. Even Jesus or God said that shit to his prophets. You're supposed to eat from the ground because that gives you nourishment. Why? Because it helps you create air in your body. That's why I guarantee you, people that's eating meat and never did the works already, but you eating meat, even if you did the works and you doing it now, nigga, that shit's building mucus. And what is that doing? It's seeming like your air is slowing up. Make boogers in your nose, all the extra shit is blocking air. That's what it does. It blocks the dams, just like physically with your chakras. Chakras are supposed to flow like rivers that connect to each other and create a current. When they flow, it creates a current. When it's a clear flow and it can just flow and do what the fuck it want and keep flowing with no blockages, it's a current. Okay? Period. It creates energy. A current of water. That's just like how your body works. When you're eating this shit that's not natural, that doesn't come from the ground, you're eating animals. Most of them not even like the animals we used to eat, like natural. Like niggas ate more bisons more than cattle. And these days, cattle is patented as African Americans. So long before I was born, it was already 30% real meat and 70% not. So by this time, where the fuck you think they getting all this extra meat from when they got extra bodies? And then at the same time, all of that creates diseases. And most of the time, if these people is getting hit or, you know, with the shit that is the virus, the food would be the virus too. So it's like, and the animals is too. So either way, that shit's not good to be eating. Cause now you're helping that shit reproduce under the sun. Because this sunlight is reproducing, like I said with the weed, is reproducing more cells. It's tripling the effect. One cell is tripling by three. It's supposed to get a charge. Take your covalent bond. You feel me? Your A's and your B's. Dealing with your A and your B. Because your A and B comes together and form C. That's how your crown works. It deals with your C, with your truth. Dealing with your heart and your soul. Sacred energy down to the roots. Same thing going back up. Shit's supposed to flow. You feel me? So blockages physical blockages and mental blockages. Like, I'm just saying this for anybody that's trying to ascend on some shit. Like, cause once you like start doing it, you're not gonna need to watch videos too much. Everything's gonna start coming like confirmations when you watch videos, and then that's gonna remind you that you just need to get on your shit. Like, I'm in the same boat. You feel me? But everything that I've been shown really is like, don't stress about shit, and that's the only way. Like, don't tie yourself back into these energies when you just clean your chakras out. That means you're going backwards while you're trying to go forwards. It's like someone pulling you by the leg while you're trying to go straight for the touchdown. You feel me? Gotta shake that shit off. Feel me? Get back to heart space. It's reality. If it ain't right, it ain't righteous. If it ain't, not saying like that's something you have to use for your own discernment. I'm not saying like just don't be like a little nice person, because sometimes your aggression is just a part of you. So I mean, when you neglect that, that's a whole another trinity within you. So it's not really just being so like mean or aggressive to someone, because if you're doing something to hurt someone, now you're manifesting that shit back onto you. But if you like, you were speaking your truth. When you're just speaking your truth, you're speaking your truth. But when you speaking your truth to hurt somebody, it gets different. But a person can get hurt from it, but they're gonna realize you were still at the heart space. So they're gonna have to respect what you said, because now your intuition was actually right for what you were talking about them for. It's just certain shit. Like, you can fall into it. That's just operating into how you know someone act already. But if you fall into that and keep doing it, then you're just gonna fall into your own karma. Like, certain shit you just gotta remove out your way, remove out your life, not because you want to. That's like, a lot of times I did that shit and got hurt. It's not that I wanted to, it's just because I had to. And because I knew, like, either way it goes, I'm doing this for you or the next nigga that you might talk to or something. Or just, period, like a job or something. Like, I should have kept this job I was fucking with. For real, for real. Wasn't doing nothing else. But me leaving got me back into my energy that I wasn't in, because I was thinking about everything else. Then I started eating the wrong shit. But then the thing about me, I always be conscious to what I'm doing. And I'm glad that happened, because I seen how people actually did fall. And I could see how you can actually rise. Like, then I can see how you just neutral in the game. And that's all the definitions of variance. Dealing with a trinity: positive, negative, neutral. Another one. Like, that's when this shit, when you're separated from this world type shit. And now you're like in your own reality. Sometimes it can seem alone, but that's when you're attached to that thinking. Other than that, you ain't even pay attention to that shit until people start paying attention to you, wondering why are you always alone. Then maybe you start get to thinking about it all over again. Fuck all that shit, man. You're on a path that's for you. The thing is, once you accomplish and do what you need to do for yourself, it's gonna benefit everybody else. But if you caught up into the worldly shit, you just gonna be right back where you started. Like, I'm saying this on some king, queen type shit. Like, cause certain y'all gonna be feeling like I'm supposed to do something. And then certain people might get jealous and get back into the energy that started it. Because it's always there. It's just how are you operating it? You can't be too much crown. You can't be too much down. The thing is, you could be all of it works together. It's just like a nigga with superheroes and superpowers. He was a good guy. What was he doing? Using his heart, using his root, his chaos energy, and using his crown when it came to situations. You can't. That's and learning about himself most likely from the shit from when it first happened to him just being like dominant with it or she. You're going to learn the science of you and your power before your activation. You might get a little glimpse of it. You feel me? You might actually start doing shit beforehand, and then you might hear the science afterwards. Start understanding the science afterwards. The science is how you're gonna blend in the matrix, and then also is how we're gonna build and get shit back on point. Cause the shit already there. It just needs the frequency. It needs the signal from the Earthborns, from the star seeds. You feel me? It needs the signal from you. You have the God frequency within you. Okay? Just like now, it might be cold certain places, but ground. Because it sends the signal back up to clear out the skies with plasma. These trees and us, we have plasma. The ground has plasma. Everything has plasma. That's why they want to chop the trees. They have plasma. They're alive. You feel me? They operate just like us. Why? Because it's an output to our body. So when they're messing with nature, they're messing with us. That's why the more you start messing with it, like it's dead ass how consciousness just works. It's one with us, nigga. Like I said, inputs and outputs. Now the connection's been a little tampered with at first, and that's why it seemed like it wasn't like that because it was a split dealing with the mind. It was too much left, not righteous, right? That's what it ties to the connection to animals and nature. Reason why clones was even made, or not even with different species and different races was even made because it was a connection to animals and nature, even down to the eating the meat. It deals with you consciously also. That's why, like, if you eat a lot of meat, then you take in a lot of energy from the planet and caught up in hurt and anxiety and all this extra shit. When you're not in a good mood, you're most likely gonna have more of a bad temper if you're not balancing it out with fruits and vegetables. Like the more you start to eat, the more your consciousness starts to go back to what it is, but it starts to clear out all the cells that deals with emotions like that and shit. The only thing that will be left is a mental blockage, and the only thing you can erase them triggers and clear your mind from, so you tapping back into your awareness of your chakras, because you're like a whole grid. Your whole body is awareness. It's like which ties to your first eye. Everything ties to each other, but these mental blockages is really the key, because fear, anxiety is the whole blockage to your awareness. It makes it a battle, right? And these energies that we about to step into is about to be really higher than normal. And it's just gonna go keep getting higher and higher and higher. For like another way to say it is the year it's the hertz, right? So the hertz in the ear is the same when it's dealing with DNA memory. So the memory is remembering as the Kundalini rises, the timeline is going up. So say it was the 1800s, it was going up to the 19, then the 19, which we are now dealing with the 6. With that cycle, that timeline, it goes into um, it goes into the 2000s, and that's what the V2 charge is about. Okay, the atoms in the air is trying to get a charge, and when the atoms in the air get a charge, that's dealing with your blood getting a charge. Remember, because that's the output to your input. It's dealing with the same shit. You are the air that you breathe. You are what you eat. When you start to eat more natural, it creates more air inside your body because you're creating more cells. You're creating more energy. You're creating more power. You feel me? And as you do that and clean up and just continue to do it, your power starts to strengthen. And the intuition from what you don't remember from the other side becomes, from the memory that you don't remember, you always remember subconsciously. It's just, it operates as if you remember it when it's clear. Because now you don't have mental blockages blocking your awareness of what happened dealing with the Akashic records and shit. That's why it has to be unity. Because then when it's not, it's static. Just like a TV with two antennas. You got your ears to take in these frequencies left and right. You got your eyes, your nostrils, your hands, your feet, your arms. A lot of things that's dealing with these tools are inputs and outputs. Your controllers, right? How you control the inputs and outputs. That's like when you start connecting back to nature, you start controlling the inputs and outputs to the point you don't even have to tell nobody. You just control it. You do what you know you need to do. But the thing is, people in that be in a bad space try to do some powers and shit. They gonna fuck themselves up. And don't allow niggas in your energy when you know you're on that level, even if you're trying to teach someone how to ground. Like, this shit's calling on the ones, you feel me? The ones who create the 144 energy, the 9 energy. Like, everyone needs to be healing because all of this is a whole healing process to get back to point. It's just like if you was to die and your whole life was flash speed before your eyes before you die. Usually it's a little faster, but really it don't even be like that. It do, but it don't. You start thinking about shit that you feel me, but like it do kind of be like that. But so it's like I feel like this how it is when you sleep. Like niggas took the jab. This is the way you're gonna heal yourself from when you did take the jab. So when we go into this new earth or where we already at this higher state, we gotta be waking up. You feel me? Like I feel like I met myself at a higher state. I even met Satan probably, motherfucking the new type shit. It could have been either or. I met really a lot. It's just off of memory. I know a lot though with my higher self. The thing I'm saying, tap into your higher self. And some things You might be surprised that you're tied to and don't even know who you are. 'Cause most of it gonna be intuition. Then when you physically get it down, it's gonna come all together. Because remember, you have to do a physical thing, a mental thing, a conscious thing, a godly thing. All all of that shit works together. You have different trinities, how you have to do shit mentally, physically, because that deals with your conscious. Okay, physically you have cells that interacts with your nervous system. Your output is your nervous system. When I say outputs and inputs, it's just your nervous system. So as we're being exposed to a dimensional frequency that's coming off that can be explained through numbers. I'm saying a physical, there's a timeline on this sixth dimension. We're still in the sixth because it's still 2023. The new year denotes the next dimension, which is the seven, which is going to be a timeline matching up to 7 times 360, which goes back to the prophecies. Okay, because it has to settle around the 360, right? Because that creates a stronger aura, right? So look, this is why they also trying to build a magnetics field off this shit, because you know you have to heat the poles up to make it a sustainable planet, either way it goes. So like the shit that goes up from the light that reflects it back up. The other shit falls and fucks with the groundwater. Okay, it's just like cooking up cocaine. When you could take the impurities out and use the copper or whatever type shit to pull out the impurities down, it's gonna pull downward because it's metals and all types of shit in it. So the ground is already pulling plasma. So when you get plasma in it, it's creating a different charge, a different compound. Creates cold because you need heat to even make cold. And then when you're mixing it up with the shit that you take in physically, it fucks with you mentally and also physically because it's getting trapped in your mucus. So really, you would just be able to breathe through this shit as the energy rises if you just eat good. And pretty much fruits create a lot of air in your body. The vegetables and stuff helps it flow, but fruits create the the red blood cells more faster. You feel me? In my eyes, it's good acid to clean up the shit that's dried up on your walls that you can't see, but you can feel. You feel me? So, yeah, the the memory from the DNA picks up off the UV light, which is a hertz that's being given off that's tied to a certain timeline on the Akashic records, right? Which is a timeline in your memory bank. So once you can actually remember and see, it's just better when you start to see it because now you're starting to see, feel, and it's becoming more like a reality to you. So when you hear, it starts to manifest into the physical. You feel me? And that's what they scared of. Because if you see yourself flying all the time, then you actually start trying here. Because there's a difference when you, certain people been taught it's impossible to fly. So when you're in your dreams flying, then you hear you be like, oh, I can't do that. You don't even try to fly or try to figure out the science or figure out how can I build this power to take off. Niggas don't even know under this sun, fasting will start activating the light within you. Because your cells literally create light when you're reproducing more cells. Because all it's going to do is reproduce more and more energy. When it starts to get blockages, what do you think happens? You can get fried, get shut down. Then you have to heal, or you might die, blow up. Feel me? Like, that's when you have to match reality, because the whole thing about that, your your elements start working together in the body and starts to create life force. And that life force can be used consciously because it's always been there. It's just now you have more of a magnet, more of a charge in you, and more magnetism. The ground and things above help strengthen up your magnetism and your charge. But when you're eating on a physical state, it helps rebuild and regenerate. So you're not dying. When you're losing cells, it's like dying and coming back to life. You feel me? Like, you just have to consciously know what you connected to and who you are. Because if you got heart, you actually gonna make a change. I know how shit operate consciously. I'm talking to reflections and shit. So even if it was only a couple of people who heard it, and that's how it was gonna be, that was enough. It's in the air. Shit got played. I already know my consciousness is like tapped to this whole realm, but it's not tapped by them. They could try to tap and lose connection. I'm in control. They can't operate and control my energy when I know who's doing it. Like, if this is me, you can't manipulate me when I know it's you doing it. And consciously, that unlocks something within me and you. You feel me? But yeah, I don't even know what I started off with or ended with. But I'm gonna just say peace to you. Because this video was not supposed to be this long. You can't even see my face no more. Peace.